for the past couple of years, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been dominating the NFC South, having, hands on the wheel, driving the car. But how long until the 2025 Saints could become threats and go in there and challenge them for that top spot?
I think it's undetermined. I mean, I don't feel like this is a question that actually has a answer right now because there's just so many unknown variables. Right. And even if things start hitting, I think you're still multiple years away, and I think you need a series of things to hit to get to that point. Now, the flip side of this is how long does Tampa have to hold on to it? But I don't think it would even matter. I feel like other teams in this division are closer to catching them than the Saints. I think the Saints are probably fourth right now. They're the team that does not have any answer at quarterback. There's no path forward from there right now because we don't know what these guys are. Maybe they're the team with the best quarterback, but we don't know that. Atlanta doesn't really know either with Penix.
Yeah.
Carolina at least has a guy that they've seen win an NFL game. The Saints don't have that right now. So until you at least see that, I think it's pretty far away. And honestly, I don't really see pieces on this. I don't see a foundation for the future on defense at all. Like anywhere. I don't see it. I don't see the building blocks. At least on offense, I see the offensive line. There's the possibility at quarterback. There's some young receivers that you have decisions to make on. But defensively, what are you building around right now? I mean, there's Chase Young. But, like, what else is the long-term answer at that position? Alante's in a contract year.
Yeah.
Until he's under contract, you can't look at him like that. Kool-Aid needs to have a good season. Maybe he's one of them. Justin Reed's 28. Tyrann Mathieu's at the end of his career. Demario Davis is at the end of his career. Pete Werner's okay. Brian Brzee is a situational player right now. I don't see it. I mean, I think they are I don't want to say a long ways off because you can turn it around in an offseason, especially you have the quarterback in place. But as it stands right now, I don't think they're in striking distance. They're playing the 50cc and they aren't ready for the 150cc race. So that Mushroom Cup's like still far away, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree that there is no pieces around there that you can say, okay, we're going to build around this. This gives me hope for the future long term. And Alontae Taylor would be that, but he isn't under contract going forward now. But that kind of brings me to the point that Mike and I have talked about the importance of bringing somebody like Asante Samuel in to have that be a younger piece that you can build around, but you don't know what he's going to be like coming off of this surgery.
Yep.
So I even wouldn't mortgage that off of somebody who you don't know how they're going to come back. But it's just so many variables, so many things. It's funny that you related it to like a Mario Kart because now, there's a green shell hitting you, but then they got the red shell in the tug waiting to come if things don't work out how, they're planning to work out. And just about this rebuild as a whole, they didn't want to rebuild. They didn't have that as the framework on how they were going into it. They restructured a lot of the older guys that have been here, that have been pillars of the organization, kept them in, but then the Derek Carr situation kind of forced their hand into having to pursue another person that was going to be that guy, or Spencer Rattler going to be that guy. So it's a tough spot to be in, but I think just to answer for the sake of answering the question on how long until they become viable threats, it can be this year. I'm not expecting it to be this year, but maybe 2 years. Because right now you say you have them at fourth. Who do you have in that 2 and 3 spot?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what Penix is at all. Theoretically, I think Carolina's probably behind Atlanta, but if Penix isn't good, I think he's as much of a mystery as these guys playing for the Saints are, if we're being like fair about it.
Right.
I can't crown him anything. So I don't know. I mean, he was drafted way higher. Theoretically, he should be way better than what the Saints have, but that doesn't mean anything once you're in the league. It's really about who puts it together. I just don't, is it possible this year? I mean, I guess it could be. I guess if a lot of things hit in the right direction, it could be. If your offensive line is stout, anything becomes possible, I think, at that point. If Staley gets a lot more out of the scheme, maybe there's way more to get from these players. I don't think there is. I think it's talent deficient on the defensive side of the ball, but maybe smoke and mirrors and you can maybe hide some stuff. He does come from the Fangio tree, and that's been at the cutting edge of defense in the NFL right now. It's kind of the thing that defines everything. Those 6-1 fronts, the the way they disguise their coverages, showing 4, rotating into single high. Like, a lot of stuff they do are the reasons that you see less explosive plays, less scoring, less everything in the league. A lot of that is like Fangio fingerprints. So you have that here, but I think Staley has a ton to prove. Like, I don't necessarily just feel blindly confident in him in the same way I do with Kellen Moore. So I think there's just a lot to prove. I think there's a lot that we have to see, and I just think as we sit now today, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying the road is not there, that they can't get on the path, that they can't surprise, that they can't be better than expected. But I just don't see that enough yet for me to sit here and say it. And look, I'll say this though. I think the learning process, like for me, and I even kind of, I'm about to go on like a side mission here on this, but I even found it interesting that I feel like some of the veteran players kind of speak in the same way that I feel like we speak now after having gone through Sean Payton to Dennis Allen era 1, Dennis Allen era 2 to Kellen Moore era. Right. Like, there's more of a...
Would it be fatigue?
No, I don't know if fatigue's the right word, but when you talk to some of these guys, I don't hear the same just kind of general things are going to work out. This is how it could be good optimism. It's more like
jaded.
We're going to handle what we can handle and kind of see where the chips fall. It's kind of how it kind of sounds like all that. I kind of feel like that's where I've been at my analysis this whole offseason is just kind of like, I'm not going there. Like, I just got to see it. Like, this is all like, this is the culmination of that conversation. And this is like, yeah, we got to see it. Like, I just don't, I can't sit here and say like, it's going to work out. Cause I don't know. And my honest feeling is that the odds are it won't. Like, mathematically, historically, logically, any filter you want to apply to this is falling on the wrong side of it right now. And, there always are. There's a, the team that comes back from 3-1, someone has to do it to be that team when they show the record. But, I just don't know that this is a team that's coming back from the 3-1 deficit this year.
And that is a point. You don't want to be pessimistic. You don't want to be just anti. You want to just be realistic, though. And that's even when we were picking our win totals for the season. We've been burned so many times over the last couple of years thinking that, oh, well, they added this piece, so this should be good. They added this piece, so this should be good. And then just keep on getting smacked in the mouth.
Well, to even add that, like, the piece to that, too, is just kind of if they get healthy, like, they got to have better injury luck. Well, maybe they won't.
Yeah.
That was part of it last year. And then I was like, wow, this is worse, So, yeah, I mean, there's just so much that can go wrong.
No, there definitely is going wrong. So much that can go wrong. But just kind of looking around the NFC South and going weapon for weapon, I think the Saints can end up with maybe the second best receiver core.
Who's number 1, Atlanta?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Atlanta's definitely number 1. I don't know in Tampa Bay because you can pencil in the 1,000-yard season for Mike Evans, but I don't know what Chris Godwin is going to look like coming off of this injury. And I don't really, nobody else on there really stands out to that extent to where I can say, oh, well, this is a rock-solid, ironclad core because you have Rashid Shaheed, a flyer, Brandon Cooks, another flyer, and Chris Olave, flying but can do other stuff too.
It's tough to say because I think it comes down to quarterback. You might be you can have the best gun, but it might just be range bullets. Like it doesn't. Yeah, so it just kind of depends. I think it really kind of depends on that. Like they could theoretically have the most talented core in the whole division and quite possibly have the least production, and it's just the equation might. I so much of that goes back to the QB. Now, I don't think it's going to be that bad. I don't, but for Chris Olave to be better than Mike Evans, Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler, whoever has to be better than Baker Mayfield, probably. Yeah. You at least have to give him the opportunities. You at least have to put yourself in, within a tier of wherever Baker's at, and Baker's in a decent little tier there, and there's a couple more below. So, as long as you're existing up there, and obviously if he's healthy, maybe. Shaheed, obviously. I mean, I think he's one of the more unique players in the league. But yeah, there's so much of it comes back to the QB. So definitely possible. I'm not dismissing the notion at all. Like I think it's definitely. I think they actually have possibly good pass catchers. But man, to get on the other side of Tampa and Atlanta, so much would have to go right at QB, I think.
Right. No, I didn't even think about that portion of it because you can have that positive, but not saying that anybody is bad, but you can have a negative plus that positive. It'll still not be positive. So definitely that is a great point right there. But then on defense, I mean, you get to looking age plus inexperience plus need to see more. There's too much of need to see more. And, look, in fairness to those players, that's what the season is for, to show more, to go out there and show how you've progressed and gotten better every single week. But collectively as a whole, I mean, and they know it. They have to.
We probably don't weigh enough how much that Foskey pick set him back on defense. That's the 40th pick in the draft. Like, and you're getting nothing out of him. Like, he doesn't have to be a star, but, like, he should be the guy getting 4.5, 5 sacks every year. Yeah, you need that out of that pick. 40th pick in the draft. Like, I think people forget how high he was picked. That's like my go-to line with Shuck. It's like, well, he was the 40th pick in the draft. Of course he's going to be the starter. And it's like, well, but maybe not. Like, that can go wrong. I do think Shuck ends up the starter. I think Spencer's like a notch ahead of him right now, but I think he does end up there. But that Foskey pick is as bad as any of them, really. Like, he's not even rotational right now. You can't figure him into that. Maybe he ends up being, but like that ain't somewhere I'm willing to go.
And that's I don't know if it's just because we do talk often, but that was the player I was thinking about in my head just without saying his name because you have to see it. Yeah. It's at the point where you have to see it. There's no more, let's adjust this and let's do this and no. Got to go out there. Got to get it done regardless. It just is what it is. It has to be what it has to be.